Welcome, Warriors!
Yay!
Woo!
Woo!
We're extra energized today.
Yes.
Extra energized, or at least I am. I'll speak for me. But
No,
we're
you can speak for
energized.
we. We're a we.
Speak for we. Okay. I never like to put feelings in your mouth.
No, and I appreciate that, a lot of the time, but I feel like this one you can speak for us.
Okay. Speaking
Yeah.
for us, speaking for we are back from a really, really long recording break. It's right after Labor Day.
Yep.
It's back to school time.
Yep.
And we took the summer off. I'm really proud of us, actually.
Yeah.
We took the whole summer off from recording.
Yep.
We needed it.
Yeah. Agreed. It was nice. I mean, I missed you, but I also still saw you.
Yes.
So that made up for missing you.
Yeah. I feel like if we weren't planning to see each other during that break, it would have been harder.
Yeah.
So that helped. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
So perfect segue, Warriors. We're going to be chatting with you all for our first episode back to school.
You gonna sing
We're
it?
back to school again. You just can't laugh at me. You have to take over.
No, it's so funny. It's so funny because in my mind, I was thinking my Adam Sandler Back to School.
Do I know that?
I can't do it. It's in my head. I can't do it out loud. It's not because there's anything wrong with it. When sometimes you can hear it, but when you try to do it, it doesn't work.
Oh, 100%. I know.
Yeah. So I can't. I can hear it.
Is that from Billy Madison or something?
Probably.
Or is
that's okay. Probably. Yeah.
That would make sense, which I only saw that piece of shit movie one time and it was so bad. I could never watch it again.
Better hope there's no cult followers out there.
I mean, come at me. Let's go. I'll argue against that movie all day, baby. Yeah. All right. So back to school time can cause a good amount of anxiety. I know that I have some childhood memories of back to school anxiety. I have Sunday scary stories. I've got just, as an educator, whether it be my former self, right, in the classroom, and then now entering schools at the beginning of the year for yoga and mindfulness classes, it's still like, there's still a little bit of like a PTSD. It's different. Yeah. It's different now that I'm, an adult. And I imagine maybe it feels the same for you, but like, yeah, I mean, like these were the kinds of things that popped into my brain when I was like, back to school anxiety. I had like immediate sort of pit in my stomach, a couple of flashes of moments from childhood and flashes of moments of first days with my new students that were just a hot freaking mess.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about our experience as kids back to school, because I feel like that's a very different anxiety versus the educator part. And then we can like switch into the educator part too. Like, right. Because they're totally different anxieties. But when you were saying that, I was like, yeah, I totally feel I'm with you on both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, I'll just start with what bridges the gap between my childhood anxiety with back to school and today's Margot, is the skitedness, right? It's the mix of having fear and anxiety and being excited and being like ready.
Yes.
And having to sort of battle those two things in my brain. Like I actively remember from childhood having feelings of like, oh, okay. I loved when I was a kid shopping for back to school supplies and, getting a few new outfits, like elementary school.
Yep. Trapper keepers, cool folders,
notebooks,
the perfect eraser,
big pens, colorful pens.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You need. Yep.
Did you have that pen that like
you squish it down,
slide down
and it could be like green, red, blue, black? Yeah. Yes.
It always died so quickly though.
I know.
I wanted that pen every year. My mom always was like, that pen sucks.
It did. Yeah. It did suck, but it should have been like
cool. $1.
Yeah.
It was very cool. Yeah. So, it was always like that back and forth in my mind. So like I loved in elementary school, it was mostly excitement with like a little bit of nerves, right? Sort of like my typical buzzy energy kind of anxiety.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
When did you know who was your teacher and who was in your class? Because that always gave me anxiety. And we would usually, with our final report card, it would be you're in X person's class. And then you would contact all your friends, or I would contact all my friends, and we would be like, which class are you in? And so that would either heighten my anxiety or like kind of quell my anxiety based on knowing what teacher I had the following year and if my friends were in my class or not. So like, when did you find this? Because I would find it out at the end of the school year, the year before.
Yeah,
summer.
My memory tells me that it was not the end of the school year, that we were notified in like August. So I had to wait. We knew we had to wait. That's what my memory tells me. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling worried about it. So like I might have been, and Mom, I know you're listening. You can tell me after the fact, but like I don't ever remember being like, I knew of the teachers from the next year, like very minimally, like I feel like maybe at the time, at least in our school, like there weren't necessarily rumors amongst the kids about the good teachers from above you. The parents would, I'm sure, circulate that information, but like, I don't ever remember being like aware of my teachers in elementary school anyway. Before I had them, were like, I knew to be worried. Anything,
Oh, we had some notorious.
Yeah. Oh no, we had some not great teachers too, but like they didn't circulate down to say like first or second grade. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna hear about, what horrible third grade teacher I had, which my third grade teacher was amazing. So
I had a good one too. Fourth grade sucked.
My second grade teacher was bad. In fact, she was the only one in elementary school that I have like negative memories of throughout the year. But all my other elementary school teachers, I got pretty lucky, I guess. But yeah, so that was when I found out, would be like towards the end of the summer. But then everything changed in middle school and high school. It became less about like back to school supplies and more about like clothes and trying to look cool and keep up with the trends. And we kind of talked about this like in our, our beauty episode and our those episodes from the past. So, I remember feeling more nervous and excited the older I got. And I think it was because for the most part, I saw my friends through the summer. I saw people I hung out with. So it wasn't like, oh, I miss my friends or I miss people. Right. And I had severe social anxiety. So I had no interest I wasn't like, oh, I'm excited for the energy of being back in a school building. Like that would be gone after like 24 hours. I'd be back to being like, this sucks. I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, those are the memories. Obviously we're not going to like dive into all the specific stories, but like, that is like the general gist of how I experienced, worries mixed with excitement was always how I.
How big was your elementary school like class, and then versus was middle school and high school connected or separate schools as well?
Our town's really small, really small. So there were only 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school.
Oh, okay.
Like for context, my graduating class only had like 120 kids.
Wow, smaller than mine.
Yeah, really tiny.
Okay. So you basically knew everyone. There was the other elementary school you didn't know, but once you all got into middle school, you all knew each other. That was same for me too. Our middle school and high school were connected. But for us, we funneled 4 elementary schools into a middle school, high school. And so there was
that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of new kids.
To meet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And then like obviously during the school year, right, your anxiety fluctuates. It's like, is this a good year? Are my teachers mostly nice to me? How am I doing in my classes? What's extracurricular look like for me this year? And so that would sort of vary, but like the back to school experience felt pretty much the same every year.
Now, I'm surprised you have not mentioned sleep, because that was one of my anxieties. I can't remember if it was for elementary school, but for middle school and high school, like we would have to wake up so stupid early. And I didn't have to take a bus for elementary school, but for middle school and high school, I had to take a bus. And I remember like hearing about the bus driver, and the bus driver's kind of mean, and she was kind of mean. And so like having to wake up early and then stand at the bus stop in the morning. And then have to take like a 30-40 minute bus ride to the high school.
What? I guess, right, just from picking everybody up. I was like, we were like one of the
largest school districts in like New York State. Like it's now like a lot smaller, but like from where I live to where like some kids lived in Shandaken, it was like an hour away from me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So crazy. We were like a very large district. It was just like, it had a blend of town kids and rural kids, right? And so it really spread pretty far.
So wait, how early did you have to get up then?
Like before or by 6, like.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think it was like a little before. And then, like, especially as you get older, you want to, stay up later and.
Oh, yeah.
So that was always like one of my things, especially the transition from 6th grade to 7th grade. Like I had a lot of anxiety starting at the new school because by 6th grade, like 6th grade felt like home, right? Like it was my home. I knew everyone. I got along with a lot of the teachers and I helped out. And like the day 6th grade ended, I remember being like, I'm coming back to visit, and I was
so wait, was 6th grade middle school for you?
No, 6th grade was
so
elementary
for me,
school.
it was still 6 was middle for me.
Okay. Yeah.
That's we moved up after 5th grade.
Yeah. No, we were there K through 6 all in one place. Okay. And I remember like I found my journal like within the last few years from like elementary school, and I like felt my heart being ripped out from me, and like it was like very dramatic. Like it felt like I was losing my family, and then like so I had a lot of anxiety around middle school. And one of the things was having to wake up early. But that, there was like the meeting new people, and are the teachers gonna like me? Am I gonna like the teachers? How hard are the subjects going to be? Am I gonna be with my friends? Are there gonna be bullies?
Yes. Yeah. No, I do remember like the transition from elementary to middle was hard because of things like lockers and changing classrooms, right? Like that was a big transition that between that summer. I remember having way more anxiety than they did all the previous summers.
Right.
But then it's like you have that discomfort of it's new, and then you eventually get over it. Like I don't really remember the moment where I was like, okay, this is just normal. But like I'm guessing it happened within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was always worried about time.
Yeah.
I didn't have sleep anxiety like that. I wasn't worried. I mean, I didn't want to wake up, especially in high school, like you said. I didn't want to wake up at 6 o'clock or whatever time it was. I would just get off the phone at 4 a.m. My best friend.
Right. Exactly. On our landlines. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
I had the Lips phone. Did you have the Lips phone?
I did not have a Lips phone. I feel like I had the see-through phone that was like clear plastic see-through, but that was like either the other me or like option. A friend had it. I don't know. I can't remember what my phone looked like, but it was my own line. I got my own line.
Me too. I had my own line too. It was because it was my sister's line, and then my sister moved out, and so it became my line. That's so funny. Oh my God. I thought I was so special to have my own line. None of my friends had their own line.
One of my friends did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting off track here.
Yep.
Very typical of us. Very typical. So was there anything else from childhood that you feel like stands out?
For me, a lot of it had to do with the teachers, like as a, recovering people pleaser. For me, it was really important the teachers liked me. Right. Yeah. And so there was definitely for me a lot of nerves before school to like know if the teacher would like me or not. But also if I would like the teacher. Like I said, our 4th grade teacher was awful. But that always carried through with me until like 10th grade when like I realized like I don't like this teacher. This teacher is a misogynist. I didn't know the word at the time. I thought just sexist. And then I didn't care that he didn't like me and I had to get out of his class. But that's a different story. There was definitely like just all the transition I enjoyed summer and being relaxed, or in high school, like I got to work and that was exciting. I was a camp counselor and like, I really enjoyed doing that stuff, and so, there was a lot more freedom and I didn't want to give up the freedom to go back to school, but then I also can just relate a lot to like the seeing friends and being excited for that. But then also like the stress of the first day outfit. Like there's always pressure on the first day outfit. And like,
it's like, what do you look like after all these 2 months?
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Do even you have any memories of your first day outfit? Did you we weren't really in the time where it was like pictures of the first day of school.
Yeah.
That was before we were before that time.
We were before that time. And I don't remember. I just remember the pressure and stress and like the shopping beforehand to find the right outfit for the first day.
Just the first day. Yes. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, like we would do some shopping for like it was mostly just fall shopping. It was like, let's cover the fall. And then like, by winter, I didn't care anymore. It didn't matter. Right. But yeah, it was definitely about the first day outfit. I remember that distinctly. In fact, I can picture a couple of horrific choices I made for my first day outfit in high school. But then again, it was the time. I mean, went with the time. But just in my memory, I'm like cringe emoji. But yeah, and then it was just like, all right, let's get a few other things that will work for like the next, like, you know, I don't know what happened in my mind where it was just kind of like, no one's really looking at you. Like they're looking at you, but they're not really looking at you. They're all worried about, just like now, they're all worried about what they
themselves.
Look like. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and how they're being perceived.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Although I do remember, you know, back in my really judgy days, like I remember looking around every once in a while being like, oh, so and so's trying to be someone else this year. You know, and like there were moments where I'm like, you didn't look like that. You didn't look like that a couple months ago.
Look at that haircut and hair dye.
Yeah. I see you trying something new.
I think I was too into myself because I don't remember like anyone, you know, or like, oh my God, they look amazing, right? Like I can never look like them.
Oh God.
But that changed when I started teaching. I didn't care about the first day outfit as much. I had a lot of different anxieties.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's hear about them.
So I think Abby you and I had like different situations. Like for me, I worked in a school for children on the autism spectrum. And in the school, they would have a special educator, an assistant, and at least 4 aides in a classroom, right? And the classrooms were not like that big. And then they would have about 9 kids in that classroom. And one of the anxieties was who were the other teachers? Like I would know who I was with the special educator, right? I knew that. But the other aides, you didn't always know until like that day. And some of the aides were super effing lazy, right? Like they didn't want to learn about child education and child development and how to navigate challenges in a classroom. They would like literally sit in their chair and yell across the room at the kids when like they have sensory processing to like, right. So there was always the anxiety of who I was being paired with. And then a couple times they would move me out of a classroom and into a new classroom. And like I was a strong assistant. But they would put me sometimes with like the new special educator. And that was super stressful because the new special educator usually sucked. Right. So there was all that. And then on top of that, there's like, okay, we have a speech pathologist and okay, we have an OT and a PT and the administrator. So there's all these people you have to be in relationship with aside from just the kids. So like I was definitely always anxious about that. Also waking up early. Same again, right? You know, like never like the waking up early and changing that routine. And then the other thing that like I was super anxious about is like we usually knew the kids ahead of time, right? And so there was always some anxiety if we knew certain behavior challenges from certain kids. You know, because some of the kids were violent. We needed to know how to protect ourselves and the kids in the space, right? Or if a kid was brand new to the school and we had heard a little bit about them in other schools. So there's always this anxiety of like, are we going to be a good fit with this kid? Can we help this kid? Right. And so there was like that. It was all like relationship. It was like, who am I working with? Like, and working with like 6 other adults, usually all women in one room is challenging, right? Not everyone's besties. And then also like, doing what's best for the kid and having it all be on the same page about that is really challenging. So those were like the big things that came up in teaching.
Yeah. I mean, I relate pretty hard to a lot of that stuff, even though obviously I wasn't teaching with as many adults in the room.
Yeah. Right.
But teaching with small children, you know, I always had at least one assistant, sometimes 2. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, well, so what would you say was like, if you had to pinpoint a strategy, like how did you best support yourself through that time? Like when you knew, okay, it's back to school time. I have all of these, you know, questions roaming around in my mind. I have these concerns, whatever. What was like, or do you even have memory of like how you handled it?
I mean, usually I knew other people in the classroom and I was friends with them. Like I had a lot of friends when I worked at that school. right? Like we would hang out after work. We would hang out on weekends, right? Like I know that for you, you're like, no. But we hung out a lot. We were like a community. And so like, honestly, we did a lot of talking of other people. Like, you know, if we knew someone was going to be in our room and we're like, okay, we planned ahead of time how we were going to navigate that person in the space. Right. So there was like a lot of that. And then, you know, sometimes when it was the anxiety of the unknown, like getting a new special educator, like I told myself like, okay, I'm just going to see how this goes. And the worst case is like, you know, I wasn't making big bucks at the school. I did it because I love the children. Sure. Right. And so I knew I could always leave. I didn't want to leave, but I knew I could. And that's actually eventually what happened was I got paired up with a special educator that like had no idea what she was doing. And it caused a lot of the staff to get injured during that time.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, it was just ridiculously stressful. And I was like, I can't. And they weren't going to move me to another class because everyone wanted to move up to another class.
I was going to say, I'm like, did you have support from the admin or your principal or none of that? Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard.
Right. Well,
I've definitely had that circumstance before. Yeah.
They were trying to help her. Right. And by doing that, like, you know, they lost me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, they lost a big fish. Yeah. I mean, so that makes sense to me. You know, I mean, it's great that you were able to have that added communication because of your relationships with a good amount of those people building, even though
I mean, we gossiped, but you know, this is early 20s. This is early mid 20s. Like,
but you also were able to game plan, right? You had a level of trust with each other.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is also always important. Like, I think one of the biggest things that I experienced when I became a teacher, aside from just like, if I'm entering a new school, because like, I know it was different, you know, because our backgrounds for education were different. When I graduated and I started teaching, after I like was no longer subbing, which subbing is its own form of anxiety back to school because it's like you were literally being thrown to the wolves in every situation. Different age group, different needs. Oh my God. I mean, literally, you don't know. You wake up that day, you're like, I don't know what my life is today.
Yeah.
And kids always, anything.
They act different with subs anyway. So it's
exactly. Yeah. So for me, it was just the jump of like being with kindergarten today and then tomorrow being with fifth graders, like energetically, which I do a lot of that kind of stuff now, teaching yoga and mindfulness, but I'm a totally different person now too. So
exactly.
It's, you know, but yeah, I mean, so I think aside from when I was done subbing and I had my full-time classroom that was my own, it was about entering the new school, right? And literally learning everything from scratch. It was like, this isn't just beginning of the school year. This is literally learning a whole job, right? How to be, what are the dynamics from the people that have been working in this building for a long time? What is my assistant like? Is she going to like me? Are we going to get along? You know, some of the stuff you had said. And then it was year after year with that person or those people. It's like, if I didn't get along with that one this year, maybe I get someone next year. And then when I got to the school that I like spent most of my, you know, 10 plus years educating career at, I was at this one school for 7 years and I had the same assistant for 5 of those years. And we were just like BFFs. Like we just got along so well. And I mean, everything that I ever needed, she was there. Everything she ever needed, I was there. We just gelled. We clicked, we connected. And I'll never forget that when I went to enter for year 6, none of us knew anything was going to be different. And then all of a sudden they were like, we're changing up assistants this year. And it also happened to coincide with my mom getting leukemia.
Oh God.
You know.
Oh God.
And it was literally the same month. And so like, I was just a wreck because I felt like I was adjusting to so many new things, a new person, a new energy, new personality. And I think God or the universe or source, I know you don't believe, but for me, I'm grateful that something outside of me intervened because literally the week before we were about to start school, or no, not even a couple of days before, my teaching assistant took off. She quit.
Wow.
Yeah. So the person that I got, I wasn't happy with. And my assistant was somewhere else. She was fucking miserable too. We were really unhappy. A lot of us that loved our assistants were really unhappy. But we couldn't argue. I don't know. Especially when things are working well.
Right. When things are working. Yeah. Keep it the same.
Anyway, I got lucky because somebody was, looking to move, and they had extra people, like floaters, so they were able to move her and bring her to me and give one of the floaters a full-time job in that other room. And and she was amazing. And so like it changed everything. We just like my former assistant, we gelled, and thank God, thank the world for fixing that up, because it was a hot mess.
What a relief.
And so, yeah, I agree. I think it changed a lot from being a student to being a teacher. It's just like all of the prep for the year is totally different. I'm not thinking about myself at all anymore. I'm thinking about these tiny human beings, how I'm going to best care for them. What is, all the other things, like what are our energies going to be like? Am I going to have a wild class? There would be reputations about kids too, right? So I'm trying to mentally prepare, get ahead of it with their parents, talking to their, they're not the guidance counselor, the social worker attached to that kid, trying to figure out the best game plans for everybody. And I just, really quick story. I'll never forget this one year. It was just a particularly, they wound up being one of my favorite classes ever. But the first day, I had really good energy. I was feeling good. And literally within 20 minutes, not only was every child in the room crying, but at least 3 of them had peed their pants. And if this is your first episode, anyone, I taught early childhood. That was my background. And so I taught preschool for the majority of my career. And so they were all 3 and 4 years old. They're babies. And so like all of them had to be potty trained to come to school.
Yeah.
I know that the rules have changed for that, to accommodate for more neurodiversity and things like that. But the rules at this particular school were you had to be potty trained to enter preschool. And they all were, but they were scared. And so they beat their I was literally like, my teaching assistant stepped out for like 8 seconds, and I actually came back and I was just kind of like, hi.
Yeah.
I just gave her this whole, and we had to laugh. It was one of those moments where it was just like, okay, shake off the energy and start to troubleshoot the situation. This is what we're dealing with right now, and just like get to work. But I'll never forget that first day ever. It's like, if I close my eyes, I can still smell it, feel it. I mean, all the things.
Yeah, I totally, I did not have the same experience, but like, I totally feel that where you're in this like, just like cloud of chaos, and you literally can't do you can't use it. You just have to sit in it and laugh. I'm there with you in
you don't have a choice. You're literally looking around at utter chaos, and you're like, but at the end of the day, it's going to be fine. It's temporary. Or at least somehow I knew that, right? I always knew like, it's going to be fine. It's temporary. I think that's the same. Maybe that's a good lesson for everyone, right? It's like back to school. This transition can be really tough. Seasonal affective disorder, just the change in routine and schedule.
Just transition.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Just transition.
And unknown. And
right. Exactly.
Changing routine. And it's
but the
lot.
beginning is temporary, right? Once the first day is done, the first day is done. You're not going to go back to it, right? Same is true for every day.
Yeah.
If only we could always think like that, us warriors, right? Be here now.
Yeah.
Right. It's why we call it a practice, people.
Yep.
Why it's a practice. So like, I guess before we start wrapping up, were there any major differences between like normal, typical education, and then when you started teaching all over the place in different schools and stuff? I mean, we do such different things now.
Yeah. The transition was that anytime I started a new school, it felt like first day. Right. Yeah. Because, I would be traveling and teaching at multiple schools, and some schools I would be there for 30 weeks and some schools I would be there for 8 weeks. Yeah. But the beginning is always the same, because you don't know the kids, you don't know the teachers, you got to find out where you're going, you got to figure out ahead of time planning, like how much you're going to schlep to each, if you're teaching 60 first graders, you're going to bring different stuff than if you're teaching in a classroom, right? And everyone's in their seats, or if you're teaching a group of 8 kids, so there was always like replanning for every single day.
Yes.
And then it always felt like new school jitters, and also like even the outfits again in terms of teaching kids yoga and mindfulness, because depending on where you are, I very intentionally tried to wear jeans a lot, because I figured kids are wearing jeans in school. And so, so I was very intentional in my outfit so that I could relate to how the kids were in their experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there was always excitement too, because it was doing something I love, and yes. but like meeting the administrator or the person that hired you to come and interacting with them, and then getting taken to the space that you're going to be in and planning out how to set up the space before the kids come, and meeting all the kids, and hopefully you remember their name, right? So
right.
Yeah. No, what about you?
It's so true. I feel like literally everything you said, just like no notes. Seriously. I mean, it's really all those are all the things. It's every school feels like every new school, like you said, 8 weeks, 30 weeks, every new experience is literally that. It's brand new. And so you get those first day back to school, air quotes, jitters, no matter what. Yeah. Even if you're going in January, if it's new to you, it's new. It's a new school, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that same transition. So you feel it multiple times a year. And like you said, this sort of over preparation that has to go into the everyday. Whereas when I was showing up to my classroom, once you get over that for those first couple of weeks, you're in a routine, and same thing is true with yoga and mindfulness. But if you're only with a group for let's say 3 weeks, or maybe even a one-off, right? You've really got your energy has to be totally different. Your plans have to change so drastically.
Even commuting, right? Because if you're commuting at different schools, you got to find out the traffic ahead of time, or like which trains or buses you're taking, and how to plan way in advance in case there's any so like, especially when it's different schools, not only are you first day school jitters, it's like first day, how do I get to the place? Like, because you're not doing the same commute every time.
Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All the things. I don't have anything else to add, really. I mean, it's just, that's it. It's different. I will say the one other thing I'll say is that I used to have a lot of Labor Day freak out, because it was like the summer is over, right? Yeah. So now, because of what we do, and I won't speak for you, but for me, I wind up intentionally, slowly rolling out my in-school programming, right? And so I'm able to sort of not have like you're not working today, but tomorrow you're working 7 hours and it's going to be insane. And then you're doing before work and after work. It's none of that for me now. And so I have the privilege of curating that, where it's like, okay, I'm going to start this school this week. Yeah. And then I'm going to start those next 2 schools next week. Right. And so, it just feels better for me in the stage I am of my life to be able to sort of slowly transition from, because I feel like you do, and we both love summer, transitioning from summer to the school year. Yeah. It's so hard for multiple reasons, but I feel like I'm able to set myself up for that, but differently than I was when I was a regular
jumping
teacher.
Through hoops and people pleasing and doing the regular teacher thing. Yeah.
I know. It's like we're teachers, but we're also small businesses, right? It's so different now. So many other things to think about. All right. So any active practices?
For the first day of school?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, really, like the most active practice is acknowledging how I feel. Right? The whole name it to tame it. Like for me, that is like the first thing I need to do, because sometimes when I'm excited, I think I'm anxious, and then I realize I'm actually excited, because the sensations are similar in the body. So I feel like that's my first go-to, is when I'm noticing feeling sensations. It's like, okay, how am I actually feeling? That is like my first active practice. And then based on that, it's going to change what I do. What about you?
Totally. I love that. For me, it's just trying to be as prepared as I can be.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
That's a great active practice.
Right. Yes. It's just trying to set up my future self for the best experience for first day as I can, or first week even. We're talking about back to school. It's not just day one. It's those first couple of weeks, sometimes even up to a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, how much can I do now to prepare future me for everything I might, right? If you have all of the scenarios in your head without trying to overthink too hard, like, okay, let me think through every possible scenario or worry. But if you're seasoned enough, you understand some of the challenges that you're going to be up against regardless of the year. Yeah. And so you do your best to be prepared for the things that are probably inevitable. So I think that'll be my active practice offering for all of our warriors that are back to school now, or if you've been back to school for a bit, you may still be feeling it, like you said, Abby, like physically, emotionally, in your body.
Yep.
Some of those responses might be the same. So just acknowledging it is always step one, right? We got to be honest about what we're experiencing. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to serve ourselves and ultimately serve other people around us, whether you're a student or a teacher or a parent, right? Right. I mean, this is a tough transition for parents for sure, too. Like you and I are not parents, and so we can't speak to that. But for you warriors, how does this show up for you if you're a parent? What are your memories like from your childhoods in terms of first day or back to school? Or was there excitement? Was there just nerves? Were you like ready to vomit the day before? Did you have sleep troubles? Like what are we know you've got some visceral memories. You have, we all do. And if you're dealing with some back to school jitters or anxiety, or you notice that for your kids or your students right now, what are the ways that you are actively supporting yourself and them? And I want to just also drive home that whatever you're feeling is totally normal and valid. Right? It's not just about acknowledging your feelings. It's about knowing that there's nothing wrong with you, and that this time and this transition can just be really, really freaking hard.
It always is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Margot,
do you have a win of the week? Win of the
Wow, you really drew that out.
I was trying to go high, but my voice didn't want to.
Took a nap over here waiting for that to end.
See, it's hard. You gotta like build it up.
Push you to act well when you don't know how to sing like we do. You really have to push it out.
Yeah.
I do have a win. Let's see. There's so many to think about because we haven't recorded in so long. I'm like, what do I want to narrow it down to?
Say 5. Just say 5 big hits, like your 5-hit wonder.
No, that's too many.
That's too many.
No, I'm gonna narrow it down. No,
okay. All right. Good job.
I just had to think about, I'm like, which one do I want to share? The biggest one is that one of our former guests, Christy Parisi, and myself are opening up our own physical space.
Yeah.
Not too far from home, like 10 minutes away. We're brave as fuck. And, we decided a while back that we wanted to stop working for other people in terms of public spaces and offerings. And we know Christy from episode 82, I think. Ooh, I'm throwing out a number.
I don't know how you do it.
It's going to bother me. I'm going to look
No,
it
I
up.
think you're right. I think
I'm right.
Totally right. I don't think you even have to. Yeah.
I think I'm right.
Which was a great episode. And we both, you like knew her through someone, but you hadn't actually like met her, right?
Correct.
And we both just totally loved and adored her based on that episode. So you all should check out that episode because Christy is amazing and incredibly like just adorable, but in the adore sense, not the cute sense. Like you just like, you're like, oh my God, I adore her.
She's like a magnet.
Yes.
She's a magnet. She's got great energy. She's got a fabulous personality. She's grounded. She's sweet. She's funny. Yeah. So we've really become friends these last several months. And, we're just like, we're having one of those things where anxiety warriors just do the fucking thing. You know what I mean? It's like you have a thought and we're not overthinking it. We're taking it day by day and step by step, day by day. Oh, okay.
Oh, I was gonna sing
I was doing the
other song. We're not on the same page of songs today.
I was doing the sitcom from the 90s, and you were doing New Kids on the Block.
Step. Yeah.
Ooh, baby, gonna get to you, girl. Okay. Anyway, can you tell we have ADHD warriors? So yeah, that's my huge ass win.
That is huge.
We are opening up our own space. It's in the middle of being renoed. And we're working on it and we're doing all the big grown up things. So it's hard and scary, but we're excited too.
Yeah.
So if you're local to Long Island, Warriors, called Ground and Center. And we're going to be just a unique kids yoga studio where we're going to have classes for babies through teens and the grown-ups that love them to come learn and grow and play and explore and get mindful with us.
Woo! I love it.
So that's a big one.
It's going to be amazing. It's super brave.
Back here and see it. It'll be all done by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a class.
Yes. Are you gonna host a workshop?
I'll host a workshop.
Yeah.
I love it.
Everyone will come. We'll invite all the warriors that are local. Or you can fly here, warriors. Do it.
Yeah, you should do that.
Right. Or take the train or the drive or whatever, however far we are from you. But anyway, so that's my win.
It's a huge win. And I'm super excited for both of you. And I'm proud of both of you, although I always feel weird when I tell people I'm proud of them. It's like, I'm not, like, who the hell cares if I'm proud of you? But I do feel proud of you both taking this risk. And it's a, you're doing it in such a not overthinking way, right? Like, it's amazing. You're just kind of going with the flow. And I am very, very excited for both. Yeah. I know it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. And all the things, it's like, it is interesting the way when you let go of the myth that is control, because we never actually have any of it, even if we think we do. When you let go of it and you really just lean into the next thing, then you do that thing, and then you do the next thing, and things start to fall into place. They do, you know? Yeah. Things start to work for you. I mean, you're working too. You're working really hard, but things do open up. Things do shape shift in the moment. You're like, oh, okay, that other thing wasn't meant for me, but this is, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're open to those like sort of things, it can be really game changing for us anxiety warriors.
And you're just like in the flow. You're in the flow right now in a good way.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. All right, warriors. Well, we love you so much. Thanks for coming back this week. Our first episode back from a recording break, even though these last few weeks have been new. This one's brand spanking new for you all. And it was just awesome to be back together, back to be with my girl, Abby here. We love you all, warriors. If you'd like to connect with us for any reason, you can hop on over to Instagram, join our fam. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast. You can also shoot us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your wins of the week. Share any topic ideas you might like to hear us chat about. Or if you think you'd be an awesome fit as a guest on our show, let's hear from you. Let's get you on the calendar. Take 2 seconds and smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our episodes are uploaded for you over there. Share an episode. Maybe it's this one with people in your life. So even just one person that you know could benefit from hearing us share, and our amazing guests that we have from time to time. Also, you can hop in our show notes and grab yourself something fun for fall. It's fall. So you might as well embrace it. Get yourself a hoodie, a long sleeve tee, something fun, a cozy blanket with some Anxiety Warriors podcast logos and stuff on them.
Yeah. Let the people in your school know that you too are an anxiety warrior.
Yeah, that's right. And that you've got some cool active practices and funny stories from listening to our two crazy asses and all of our amazing warriors that come on our show. Show off your swag.
In style. All right. Thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful that we get to do this with you all.
Till next time.